With the season coming to an end, I figured I would do a behind the scenes of my display for this year, which I've done every year, but I'm going to talk about some of the changes. So the first big one was adding this push to play button. Essentially, it's root off, and they push the nose, it automatically turns a speaker on and then plays for 5 minutes and turns off. You can see down here, and I'll go down there in a minute. It's just a little speaker I have facing the audience. I actually had it facing the other way, and then that's why it's on the hand cart right now, is because I wanted to turn it around. Beyond that, everything else out here is the same, except for the fact that I didn't put lights on the gate over there, only because it's behind the trailer, nobody can see it anyway. So I took the wreaths that were over there and I put them up there on my roof above the arches in between, on either side of the horse head. Let me go back in the gate and show you some of the other changes up front here. Alright, so now we've got the speaker playing, which is very annoying, but let me open this up so you can take a look and see inside what I'm talking about. Basically, there's speaker, and then kind of see down here, it's just a marine radio that's in there. And then on the inside, you can see here's the speaker, and then up here is a time delay relay, and then the radio itself. To connect root off to this box, I use what's called speak-on connectors. Take it off. They're used in the music industry to I'll put that back together in a minute. But it's good because it's a 4-conductor, so I can have the 4 conductors run up and then disconnect it for next season, make it easy and clean. I used to have an F16 out here. I switched over to smart receiver boards. They allow you to have multiple boards off the same port, and it looks like I have ants in my box. Isn't that lovely? Anyway, so I have one here, and then I have another one over there on that side of the yard. These have been great addition this year. And then the other thing I want to talk about while I'm down here is the mega tree. So this year we had a number of posts where people's lost their trees, and it's unfortunate, it sucks, but it happens. So last night, as a matter of fact, we had 70 to 80 mile an hour winds, and it did a number on my tree. If you look up there, you'll see my star is all cattywampus. You'll notice the strips are all very loose right now. As a matter of fact, this morning when I came out, all of these strips across here, all of them were off. What ended up happening was last night during the storm, the anchors I have for the base ring of my tree all came out. So all of them pulled up, which really sucks because then I only had the guy wires here on the back holding it, and then the base. But talking about the base, one of the reasons I didn't have any issues and nothing moved is you'll notice I have all 8 points anchored all the way around. It just ensures that the tree doesn't move. The other thing that's important is the pipe I use is rigid EMT pipe. And the reason I use rigid over, say, black pipe or something else is it actually is extremely strong, but it also can flex. So while we were having those winds last night, and this whole thing was shaking and rocking and rolling, it didn't come down. And that's the most important thing. It didn't come down. And that's an important point, because a lot of the people I see that their tree comes down, they didn't have all points at the bottom anchored. It's just really important to do so. Okay, I'll get off my speech now. Anyway, so let me go up on the roof here in a second, and I'll show you what I did up there. So for my ridge lines, the way I have it set up right now is that I use EMT, which is 1/2-inch EMT, and then I have these little 3D printed standoffs that I did many years ago that the EMT sits in, and then I have Boscoyo's strip on it, but I don't zip tie the strip directly to the EMT. you'll notice I have this little clip right here that stands off and is zip tied to the strip. This allows for it to stay flat and not have that sag that you get when you zip tie it. I also, if you notice, alternate each of the square pixels so that they kind of hug, or I guess you could say hug the EMT. So it comes in over here, starts right here, it goes down to the left, back up, over, and then over, down, back, and over. So it's all connected to one port, all 454 pixels, and it works really well. I mean, you can see it keeps it nice and straight. We've had a lot of wind, but nothing has moved, and it looks really good at night. So for my snowflakes, I have a total of 28 of them on my roof. The way I have them configured is in two groups of 14. So the first line of data comes in right here, and then it connects to this snowflake, to that one, to that one, to that one, down the line. And they're all interconnected together on one port, which is nice. One of the things that I had to do this year that was kind of interesting is this star up here. I initially wanted it to come off this star, but unfortunately I had data issues and I don't use F amps, so otherwise it probably would have solved it. But at any rate, it was just as easy that I tailed it off the back of the last snowflake over here and up to there. And the same exact situation over there for those. That front snowflake, star, excuse me, is also connected to the last snowflake. So for the entire roof, including these two stars, I'm only using two ports. So to mount the snowflakes, what I have is basically a PVC frame, as you can see here, that the snowflake zip ties to. And then what I have here is half of a Kevlar bag. So I bought these for canopies and then cut them in half and used one on each of the snowflakes to weight it down. And through all of the wind we've had this year, none of them have moved. So for my mini trees, they're basically 4 feet tall. They're 50 pixels by 16, so 800 pixels each. I have a little stand here I built, and again, here's the Kevlar bags, this time just not cut. I have 4 of them around the base. For the bottom ring is I had, basically it was a firewood frame that I'd cut up and then welded together to be able to slip over 3/4 inch EMT. And then the top is just a 3D printed topper. It works really well. I bring power injection in essentially every 150 pixels. It's more than I need, but I like evenness, so I over power inject. But it looks great. Again, all 800 pixels on one port. So new this year, I added 2 mesmerizers. I have one here and then one on the other side. To be able to support them, I rolled out 3/4 inch EMT and then zip tied it to the back as a frame. To be able to mount it up here, I designed and 3D printed these brackets that bolt directly to the coral. If I come back around to the front, you can see the bolts going through. I painted them black, obviously, so they're not as noticeable. And then just have a piece of 3/4 inch EMT holding it up there, zip tied to the frame. For this one, I'm actually using 2 ports, 600 pixels on the first one, 517 on the second one. And then off the second port is actually this star over here. So they're daisy chained together. So for my mesmerizer and my 2 mini trees, it's a total of 4 ports, so just 1 receiver board that I can show you over here. So I basically have a bud box here with 2 power supplies. Can't really see the receiver. but it's in there, the receiver board, and then the power injection lines for everything. So for my 3 spin Archies, they're running off of a receiver board themselves. So I have 1 receiver board running them. The data on the first one goes in, then I forget how many pixels it is, and then it connects into here, and this connects into there and there. So all 3 of these are running off just the 1 receiver board. The way I made my spin Archie frames is, again, it's a 3/4 inch piece of EMT that I rolled, and I oversized it by a few inches based on the layout, so that when I zip tied the spin Archie to it, it compressed it out. And then at the bottom is just a 3/4 inch piece of EMT also, that's then connected into a PVC T. It's worked really well. It looks absolutely amazing. I'm really happy with them. So for my living light snowflakes, the horse head and the triple spinners, I'll call them, the way I have this configured is data comes in to the triple spinner, goes up to the right to the first snowflake, goes to the next one, and then goes to the third one. So all 4 of those elements are off of 1 port. And then on the other side, I bring data in to this snowflake, down to this one, over to this triple spinner, and then to the horse head. So all of that up there is running off of 2 ports, and then the other 2 ports are the ones that are running my snowflakes on the roof itself. And then at the back of my display, this is the actual frame that holds everything together. Those black bags you see are holding 50-pound bags of rock, gravel more specifically. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them holding this frame in place. And then I have my 4 receiver boards that run everything on my roof. And because I use so many pixels per port, I do have a ton of power injection everywhere. I probably power inject more than I need to, but I prefer to make sure the ground line is perfectly clean. Helps me not have to use F-amps or worry about data signal loss. And then it keeps it all in a centralized place for if I need to come work on it up here, I have plenty of room.